Hi there. This video today is about the petty tyrant and the gift that it is for understanding the nature of your internal dialogue. This kind of leads into the Toltec tradition. And I've weaved together a bunch of different traditions in my life trying to figure myself out. And last night, I had the most incredible gift of a petty tyrant that confirmed the reality of how insidious my internal dialogue is, and I just wanted to share it. It was too perfect. Yesterday, I was working with my on my internal dialogue as it relates to my habit of arguing and justifying. This is a habit that goes back to childhood. I'm not exactly sure of its exact origin, but I mean, it has been the dominating force in my day-to-day consciousness. An ongoing internal argument with reality, other people, myself. Generally, the idea behind it is that I'm trying to explain my case before some sort of unseen judge. And it just goes on and on and on relentlessly. I mean, it is absolutely relentless. And it's exhausting. And it really is the focal point of my identity, is this internal dialogue centered around argument and justification. And it's shown up in my life in so many different ways, and it's showing up right now in a variety of ways. With every single relationship I've ever had, significantly, has been this need to argue my position. And it's just reinforced time and time again. And I continue to find myself getting into situations over the years where I'm almost at times literally in relationship counseling, trying to plead with a intermediary, of some kind of counselor or psychologist, a mediator, whatever, trying to explain my point of view, plead my case to this judge and get them to take my side, more or less. It's absolutely comical if you really think about it. This is a all-consuming aspect of my identity as it relates to employment, parenting, relationship, housing. It just goes on and on and on. It's a very, very, very focal point of my identity. I guess in the Toltec tradition, you could call it the assemblage point. It's assembled around this need to justify and argue. Well, anyway, I was working with it last night and casting a lot of this arguments about a variety of things into the violet flame. If you're not familiar with that, it's pretty powerful. Violet flame technique of Saint Germain to consume pretty much anything and transmute it into something else that you would like. Anyway, I was working with this energy of arguing and working with the violet flame with it. And it was late at night, and I got up and I was kind of completed this process for the time being. And I went out and got in my car and went and turned on the Uber app. Just go out and drive for a while and just get out of the house. And I wasn't out there very long before I came across the most perfect petty tyrant. I think I'm one of the most perfect ones of my entire life. Young guy, immediately when he gets into the car, he essentially insulted me for driving Uber. Like, why do you do this? What's the point? Do you even make any money? I've never had an Uber rider get in the car and immediately insult me for driving Uber before. I mean, it was perfect. I was in this mode of just having cleared off this habit of arguing. I was kind of blissed out. I was just kind of opened up. And this man comes into my car and immediately exposes the nature of my internal dialogue and essentially presents it to me again in the form of someone insulting me for doing this job. Then he says to me, well, you could just read books about how to make money. I said, yeah, I probably could. But I'm doing this right now, And then he says, "How'd you get that jacket?" I have a leather jacket that I wear pretty much anytime it gets cold down here in Florida. I have this leather jacket. It's nice. I like it. And he says, "Where'd you get that leather jacket? How do you afford that driving Uber?" No one is. People have complimented me on my leather jacket before and said, "Oh, that's kind of classy," or "That's kind of a statement." Whatever. I've never had anybody ask me how in the world did I afford this jacket when I'm driving Uber. Oh my gosh. It was so perfect. And anyway, then he started to question me about if there was a Costco in town. No, there is not a Costco in this town. I said, there's a Sam's Club. There's no Costco. Well, why don't they have a Costco? I said, I really don't know why we don't have a Costco. He says, well, that'd be a really good investment. I said, maybe it would. He says, maybe? Maybe it would? He wanted to get into an argument with me. He was like a gift from God. He might have been an actual angel. I'm not sure. Or the devil. Anyway, I did confront him about it. I said, listen, do you want me to take you and drop you off at the next gas station and you get a ride with somebody else? Because, I was done at that point. But, I mean, he was absolutely perfect. The petty tyrant, these people in your life who trigger you through insults, threats, maybe worse than insults and threats. Maybe they're actually causing you difficulty. In the Toltec tradition, and I've dealt with a couple of them in the last year that have been so perfect. Perfect. They expose the nature of your internal dialogue, which the only way to really shift our identity is to become aware of the nature of our internal dialogue and to, quiet it. But the only way to quiet something is to become conscious of it. And through these two petty tyrants that have been really, really good ones in this last year, I have so much understood the nature of my internal dialogue and how it relates to arguing and justifying anything in my life. And the speed at which either I unconsciously or the universe consciously or just the miracle of life, the speed at which the universe conjured up this petty little tyrant into my car, into my existence, after I had just been working really diligently earlier in the day with this issue of my identity being centered around justifying and arguing was, the speed at which this guy showed up into my reality was unbelievable. And it shows me the power of our ability to manifest things and the ability of the universe to manifest things. I would prefer to manifest a beautiful young woman in my car who really, really enjoyed my company. That would be nice. But this guy, I have to thank the universe and myself. This guy was such an incredible gift because he confirmed this insidious nature of my internal dialogue and how important it is for me to shift out of it, to be able to get free. So thanks to this guy, Alexander, who showed up last night in my car. You are perfect. And for everybody out there who's got somebody in their life or who has somebody show up in their life who's so irritating and so threatening or insulting or triggering, yes, it's upsetting, but this person can be a really great gift to you. That's the point of this video, because they show you the nature of your internal dialogue, and that is your identity. That is your fixed identity, your fixed assemblage point. The only way to get free, to move through life in a more fluid way, experience the miracle of life on a moment by moment basis, we have to become aware of our internal dialogue. Not so much end it, but quiet it, and then be able to shift our identity, and we can then experience the miracle of life in a whole new way, and really be able to experience the miracle at all, because there's not a whole lot of miracles that are going to be available to us in this place of having such a fixed identity. And I know when I'm in mine, with this arguing and justifying, life doesn't feel very miraculous at all. That's all for this time.